Hi friends, strangers, internet. My name is EmilyHanhan. I love colorful makeup and colorful language. Today I have another colorful, chatty get ready with me for you, and I'm talking about the ways in which using the largest channels and the largest creators in these social media platforms as a point of inspiration and advice can often be more detrimental than beneficial for smaller creators. If you are new here and you like colorful makeup, you like bitches with lots of opinions, or you just like cute fat babes, I hope you will subscribe and come along for the ride of putting this look together. This look was also inspired by a look I did in my New Makeup Nonsense Bingo video that was most recent, the kind of heart pastel look that I posted on Instagram about as well. Just like I did in that heart pastel look, I am using the pastel mattes from the Blend Bunny Blends palette. I'm using some of the Divina Sugar Drops Iridescent singles, and I'm also using the Likely Makeup Fairy Blush palette for my blush. Otherwise, I don't really talk about the makeup in the video. I just go through lots of rambly thoughts about this topic, and I hope you enjoy. Definitely leave me any thoughts you have in the comments below, and if you have any questions about the makeup, you can also ask away. But I'm going to let past Emily get going in this Get Ready With Me. This is one of those situations where I have a conversation over and over again with friends, and it's something that I talk about enough where I'm just like, oh, I should just talk about this in a video. So, there is this energy that bigger creators are aspirational for us smaller creators. And I'm not taking away any of that feeling. I do think that bigger creators can inspire us. They can bring things, bring out ideas and creative stuff. I haven't me and talking. It's hard. Y'all know that. That's definitely reasonable. That's reasonable. That's cool. It's exciting. It's exciting when you see a bigger creator do something and you're like, ooh, that's a fun idea. Like, for me, that's exciting. But this is something that I've noticed for myself across different industries. I have worked in and around social media for over a decade. I've worked mostly in, I would say the food industry and some into the wedding industry. And then I've been a, YouTube beauty-ish creator for a couple of years now and have been doing that. I am really anti looking at bigger creators for inspiration and guidance for how to run your own social media and your own channel. And the reason why I feel so called to talk about it and why I think it's so important is that really what it comes down to, if you want to too long don't read about it, is that a lot of these big creators are not doing this on their own. They are not a single person running their whole social media platform. And so I find that a lot of times when I've been talking to different friends in different spaces around, the internet, and they'll talk about looking at what's happening to this big creator, or looking at how they're running their platform, or, seeing, oh, this person that I really like, they upload all of this time and they're doing all of this stuff. And, I want to be able to do that. Or, oh, the way people are reacting in this situation, like it's scary and now I feel afraid to talk about it. I think that we get in our heads about looking at people. So I might start over from here. Editing Emily popping in to say, I didn't start over. So just enjoy scatterbrained me. So I wanted to talk about this concept of not following larger creators for advice, and not just not following them, but kind of finding their advice to be untenable for smaller creators. And I get frustrated, and here's the honest truth. I haven't looked at a larger creator's, channel or Instagram or whatever directly looking for advice in a very long time. So most of this concept is really about the way that we look at larger creators for inspiration. And I think that is pretty unhealthy. There are so many different layers to this for sure, but for me, I look at, larger channels, people that have larger audiences across different medias or mediums, and sure, those spaces can be full of some cool ideas, maybe some cool concepts, but I don't think that's the space you should be looking at to inspire you to follow suit. Because I think that there's a lot of things that larger creators will say that are supposed to be inspiring, but are really just very unreasonable for somebody who is not doing this full time, or who is doing this full time but is doing it on their own. So many of these bigger creators have a team, and even if they don't put it that way, they do. Maybe they have a manager or multiple managers. Maybe they have a partner that helps them in ways that are kind of unsaid or said. Maybe their partner is just somebody that makes enough money that they don't have to stress as much about every single dollar used and spent in their life. I think that a lot of the kinds of things that we used to hear about YouTubers that were expected are also dated, and maybe they're still heard, I just ignore them. The upload on a schedule, be consistent, all of these things, and obviously consistency is important, but is a schedule really important? No. And think about it this way. If you are somebody that has, currently I have 4,000 YouTube subscribers and a little over 2,000 Instagram subscribers. I could look at somebody that has 100,000 Instagram subscribers and be like, oh, I wish I could upload as much as they do. I wish I could make reels like they do. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. But a lot of times we let these things make us feel inadequate. And sometimes, for me especially, they can make me feel like it's not even worth trying because I'm not able to do what these people are doing. But when you have 100,000 followers, this might be what you're doing full time. In a situation where I was talking to a friend, we realized this person has been on TV. So yeah, maybe they do post a lot and it seems very impressive and high quality, but this is their full-time job and they've had exposure and opportunities that other people just haven't had. And that doesn't make it a bad thing. That's not me, talking down to bigger creators, because success is fucking awesome. But sometimes when we are looking at other people to inspire us, it can actually make us look and feel smaller and less special than we really are, because we're not doing it as good as that big name over there. I have this feeling about, when we see things happen in the community and we talk about the way people respond to, getting called in or called out, the way people respond to needing to apologize or having done harm on certain groups and those groups asking for apologies, the way we see people, take down apologies or not apologize. I have a problem with that being the kind of gold standard for everyone, because, there have been situations where I will agree that maybe a person has gotten a lot of hate and it gets overwhelming and that's why they end up doing those things, or, they get criticized for every single thing they do. And so it feels like there's a no-win. But I have a problem just saying, okay, well, yeah, that's fine. That's how everyone should do it. Because I personally feel that when your channel is smaller, when your platform is smaller, those are the moments and the times to listen and learn. And it's probably still overwhelming and you're probably still going to get hate and all of that. But I personally don't think that, the kind of reaction that somebody with 300 or 500,000 subscribers gets should be an example for what somebody with 10,000 subscribers does, or 5,000 or 100, because the harm is still there. And yes, other people doing harm in reaction to that is shitty. But I still think that it doesn't excuse, not apologizing or having other people doing harm to you. Doesn't excuse the harm you've done. So there are times, and I've had this conversation with Audra when we do live streams and we talk about these things. And I know that I've talked about feeling I don't like using the things happening to bigger creators as a goalpost or guidance for everyone else. And I've felt that the space that we have made, Audra and I, when we did our lives, which, we will still do when we can. Life and capitalism is a thing. But this community that we've built in and outside of the live streams has a lot of smaller creators in it. And also with the way social media is, I think a lot of people are kind of their own, yes, they're people, but if they got PR or if they got a little bit of internet fame from their, daily life fun makeup looks, would they be mad about it? No. So I think that there are a lot more people that could be considered smaller creators. And I think our community has a lot of those people in this space. And so I have felt, for a while now where I'm when we talk about things like things happening in the community and all of that, like, I personally don't like to use the happenings and behaviors of larger creators as a guidance for how for what I expect in this space, because I follow a lot more small creators than I do big creators. And so ever since we've kind of been talking about these topics more, it makes me think about these things, and it makes me think about like what I look for in creators and how I, expect, or what I expect out of people. And for me, taking kind of guidance or tone following from larger creators just doesn't work for me. And I don't think it's a healthy way to kind of run your own channel. And I think for a lot of us, we want to be inspired and encouraged by the stuff that we see online. And so sometimes it is like, really cool to like watch a bigger creator, and especially if you've followed them for a while and see their growth, and like, that's so cool. And you can still aspire to be like that person without using kind of what they're doing online as a goalpost for you, or as, advice or guidance for you. But basically, it's just that I think that bigger creators can absolutely be inspiring, but I also think that they can be just working on a different plane. Like, for me, looking at somebody, like fucking Bill Gates never inspired me, because I just knew, besides it's a white man, like, that person is working on a different playing field than me. So that's not going to inspire me. But a lot of times, seeing people in my direct, smaller community, or just like 1 or 2 steps outside of my community, those are the kind of people that inspire me, because there is a tangibility about it, or about them. And also, even people that are in my direct kind of community, or a couple of kind of like layers outward, I still have to have that moment of recognition of like, oh, this person also has more privilege, and that can be how they got to that at a younger age, or quicker, or whatever it might be. And I think when we look at other creators, a lot of times the bigger creators, like, we can know that they are wealthier than us, or that they have help. But I think in a lot of times we kind of block that out in our brain, because they are inspirational and aspirational. But for me, I find that like, it's just not helpful to use them as a goalpost. And this is coming from somebody that is still working on my self-esteem and working on my confidence. And so, yes, that's a big part of where this all comes from. And you might not have that same struggle that I have. But I also think that a lot of us don't take time to really look at things that influence us and affect us, and figure out if we can adjust those things. And for me, I found that if I adjust the media that I take in, the people that I follow, the voices that I'm listening to, if I adjust those, it adjusts how I feel about myself and how I look at the world. I would love to hear from y'all if you find that, especially if you're a small creator, or somebody that just does, stuff on the internet because it's inspiring, but you also think about the concept of like growing and, doing this more than maybe what you currently do? Like, have you noticed this thing that I've noticed? Have you noticed this feeling of like, I don't know, for me, I just feel like trying to follow what a larger creator does and trying to use their activity online as a point of reference, as inspiration. Like, is that also not a good situation for you? Like, does it also cause any, I don't know, like weird feelings? Because like I might be alone in that. Maybe, you know, other people can separate those feelings from what people are doing. But I just personally think that a lot of what we're seeing online, not only is it so incredibly curated to make everyone look better, but it's curated to make it look like one person is doing this thing, like to make it look like people are self-made and self-built. And smaller creators, I mean, yes, I'm sure smaller creators are doing this too, but I don't feel like it's as prevalent, because I think that there are a lot more smaller creators that are doing this by themselves, and there are a lot more smaller creators that are just starting to get, you know, PR or any of the kind of help or attention that a lot of bigger creators have all the time. But yeah, I would love to hear people's thoughts about this, because I just don't find that letting larger creators kind of dictate the tone of the internet, that doesn't feel healthy to me. And I think that's a big part of it that I'm just getting to. It's not just like advice, but kind of going back to the whole conversation about accountability and all of that. It's not just advice. It's that larger creators kind of set the tone for communities and spaces across the internet. But larger creators are not the ones filling those spaces. And a lot of times they're not the ones moderating those spaces. I don't know where my battery cut off. So I was basically just saying that, like, I find that using the things that happen to big creators as a baseline for every person, every creator on the internet, I just disagree with that. And I think that there are so many spaces and situations where bigger creators are not even involved in those spaces, but because of the tone that they have set, I think that a lot of other creators and people get to kind of sit behind that concept. And I just disagree with that in so many different ways. Yes, I have actually started powdering my face again. Just in certain spots. I always realize that the time between eyeliner, mascara, and lips, I can't really talk, so it's just a big jump from an incomplete look to a complete look. think I made my point. I just don't find that. I think that there is oftentimes more harm than good done by looking at large channels for direct, actionable inspiration on your own part. Like, can they have a bigger picture, aspirational energy to them? Totally. But looking at how often did they put out videos, how often they upload on different platforms, the quality of the uploads, the quality of the work, the amount of products they bring into their own life, the amount of PR they get, all of these things that are very much controlled by a level of wealth that most of us don't have, and by a level of brand access that most of us don't have, it can just be more detrimental than positive. Whereas there are oftentimes creators that are at these like next steps up from where you're at that can really give you like palpable things that you could do that feel like your style but are amped up a little bit, that actually can help you keep moving and keep pushing, when a lot of times for me bigger channels are they just don't deliver that for me. And I think that following what they're doing at a small level might end up being more harm than good for you. Definitely let me know what you think about this topic in the comments. Whether you're a creator or not, I would love to hear from you. Open discussion is always welcome. And let me know if you enjoyed seeing this look come together. Yet another one of my kind of pastel fairy looks, because I can never get enough. Anyway, if you have not subscribed already, I would love to have you as a subscriber, part of the Hanhan fam. And more than anything, I hope you take care of yourself better today than you did yesterday, because you are worth it. Bye, friends.